Hey guys, why do I think the housing market is going to collapse? And why do I think it's going to collapse 50, 60%? All right, let's dive into this just a little.
Sell. Regular, hardworking people, even if they bought an overpriced home they can't afford, they will fight hard to keep it, as more often than not, they have way more to lose. This is their primary residence at the end of the day. So if the crash will start with investors, how and where is the next question. We know based on the latest reports from Redfin that investor activity is drying up. Rates have simply gotten out of hand.
And look, let me tell you something. These companies, Redfin is one of them, but the companies, instead of just listing the prices of the houses, what they were doing is that they were actually buying all the houses in the neighborhood and jacking up the prices. And now all these guys, Redfin is included, Zillow and others, they're now stuck with all this inventory. And why would they sell? They could sell now for a loss if they want to. So that's the backdrop here. What bunch of slimy, worms. They're supposed to be just selling the house, listing the houses to sell, and here they see people, they see people searching for this house or whatever, or this neighborhood, and then they buy up all the inventory in the area, jack up the prices. If that isn't price gouging, I don't know what is. But that's exactly what these companies were doing. But now they're fucked because they got all this inventory they can't get rid of.
And since most investors operate on margin or borrowed money, a lot of real estate opportunities have dried up. There just isn't enough money to be made as price growth has slowed and rates have skyrocketed. Now, just as in the past, the largest cities we see investors operating in are your typical bubble candidates: Vegas, Phoenix, and Miami. This is also where the last crash started, and as evident by the massive post-2008 losses, it's also where the crash hit the hardest. Today, we're seeing a repeat of history. At one point last year, investors were buying up 1 out of every 3 homes in Phoenix. It's speculated that in some neighborhoods, it's 1 out of every 2 homes that was an investor. This type of activity is exactly the type of environment where the build-up to a crash can quickly escalate. Going back to the principle I mentioned earlier, in neighborhoods like...
And BlackRock is another one who does shit like this. You get a big corporation come in, they'll sight unseen just start paying $60,000 above asking price and suck up all this inventory, and then they try to sell one house in the neighborhood and it goes for a high price, and then next thing you know, all the other houses think they're that price as well.
Like these, as soon as one investor gets a whiff of panic, the fire sale begins, and just like that, a few dozen houses have reset the valuations for the entire city, and the whole thing cascades to other metro areas throughout the United States. If you want to see evidence for this, look no further than Vegas in the post-2008 world. From 2006 to...
Look at this, guys. Look at this. We're in a bubble right now. We're off the charts. You can't even see us. We're so far up. This is a bubble. Looks like a penis, but it's actually a bubble. And this is the small bubble. We're in the big one over here. This is tulip mania all over again, guys. Anyone that doesn't think, the Dogecoin, the Bitcoin mania, the I mean, well, like I said, people love lottery tickets. They love lottery tickets. They'll spend their whole damn paycheck on a damn fish table. But what comes up must come down, right? I mean, this is a bubble, guys. Just pop it and it explodes. But this isn't even the real bubble. We're over here. We're even bigger. This is in '06.
2012, prices declined 62%. That type of panic doesn't happen without investor speculation and greed. In the same way, prices can rapidly accelerate up. They can also rapidly accelerate down.
And let me tell you how people get in trouble. Let's say you bought 5 houses and you quickly find 5 renters and everything is good and the money's just rolling in and you got 5 families that are paying 5 mortgages and you're just sitting back in your chair collecting checks every month and just seeing all this money just roll on in. But what happens when those 5 families lose their job? What happens when there's no more families that move in to take over that $3,000 a month mortgage? And you got 5 houses. Do you have enough money in your savings to bankroll the mortgage for 5 houses for the next 2 or 3 years yourself? And most people's situation will be hell no. They probably don't even have enough money to do it for 1 month, let alone 2 or 3. And so what happens in those scenarios? Well, they're going to panic and they're going to try to sell 1 or 2 of those houses to get some cash flow going, to have some cash on hand so they can make the other mortgage payments. And then they start panicking because like, oh shit, I gotta pay 5 fucking mortgages myself plus my own mortgage. I got 6 mortgages to pay, and I only have like 20 grand in the bank, and you're fucked. You are fucked.
The infamous stretch in this crash, prices seem to be headed towards zero. From October 2007 to October 2008, the average Vegas home lost 28% of its value. And that's just an average. In the real world, certain trendy neighborhoods lost even more. It wasn't unheard of to see a Vegas home that was...
And I will tell you something, guys, and this may not be true now, but about 3 years ago when I was looking right before the COVID hit, just the material cost, square footage, material cost, not even including the labor, but just the material cost is about $70 a square foot. And at that time, I had found a house that was selling for about $30 a square foot. Brick house, beautiful home, beautiful neighborhood. I have no idea what it looked like in the inside. It might have been old and it was old people neighborhood, so it probably hadn't been updated in 50 years. But that's the backdrop. That's kind of like what I have no idea what the average square foot is going for today, but I just know back then, just the raw materials alone shouldn't be more than about $70 a square foot. So that's one way to kind of tell if something is cheap or if something is expensive. You know, how much would it cost you to build this house by yourself? You know, if you could build the house yourself for $100,000 and they're selling it for $400,000, I mean, there's got to be a disconnect somewhere. There's got to be a bubble in there somewhere. But nobody ever thought in 1929, before the 1929 crash, nobody thought that the prices could ever go down. They basically were taking $100 of their own money and they were leveraging it. They were borrowing $1,000. So they would leveraged 10x, which is crazy. But they were putting up only $100, but they were buying $1,000 worth of stock. So they were leveraging themselves 10x. So and that's the same thing that's happening today. The same thing happening in the real estate. The same thing that's happening in the stock market. You know, people they've already put in their last dollar. They can't. They're already maximum leveraged. They can't borrow anymore. Their credit cards are maxed. Their student loans are maxed. Their car payments are maxed. Their savings rate is zero, and this is the situation we're in today. This is a mega bubble of mega proportions, and may never be as big again in history. Because this is an everything bubble. This ain't just a financial bubble. This ain't just a real estate bubble. This isn't just something with the banks. This is an everything bubble, and it's not even just focused on the U.S. economy. It's worldwide. It's a worldwide bubble.
Selling one year for $300,000 to be $150,000 the next year. The market over there quite literally dissolved overnight because investors quite literally made the house a tulip. Once the mania was over, as you can see from this chart, the results were catastrophic. It would take Vegas over 15 years to recover past its 2006 highs, and for many people involved in real estate, this meant that they were wiped away. Thank you guys for watching. As always, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe.